When I was in high school, elementary teachers were sick, so we were in a club called the Future Teachers of America, and we were at our high school, and they bused us to the elementary school, so we actually taught. And I decided then that I wanted to be a teacher, and I have always wanted to be a teacher.
The focus for the Boston Teachers Union in the late 60s and throughout the 70s was to try to get fair wages and good working conditions for teachers.
I really felt that there were a lot of things that needed changing and that we should be a part of that. For me, it offered an opportunity to do other things besides just wages. I wanted to get working conditions better for teachers and paras. I fought very hard to get paras contract, which the school committee did not want to do.
When I started teaching in Boston in 1964, there were a lot of rules and regulations, I want to say, and they were all from the school committee, who was in charge of the Boston schools. You couldn't wear pants. I had friends who had to stop teaching. Once they started their family, they weren't allowed to teach.
They're really advocating for better schools overall, better learning conditions overall, better practices like restorative justice practices, and just making sure that, that there's no cuts that are going to harm students.
And I think it was important from my perspective to always be cognizant of what was good for children.
When I started teaching, elementary class size could be up to 36, and at the secondary level sometimes you'd find 40 kids in a classroom.
I've gotten to talk to parents. I've gone to the parent-to-parent conference and watched parents, talk to each other, and teach me, and allowed me to teach them.
So we did a lot of work with parents and children to make sure they understood what our jobs were and what we were trying to do.
Primarily, the strike in 1970 was to improve wages and working conditions.
For the school committee members and some of the folks that weren't used to dealing with a woman, it was a real revelation for them. But I stuck to my guns, and I think I did a good job as president.
Planning a duty-free lunch, planning and development periods, lowering class size. I think in the 70s, those were some of the biggest wins.
It's helped introduce me to issues that are affecting my students and given me a way to communicate with a variety of people.
The new teacher committee really gave me that opportunity by hosting these socials where I could relax, I could have a good time, but also I could meet other new teachers, right, who were going through the same thing I was. That was really important to me in my first year teaching, and it kind of kept me going.
I've gone to professional development conference that's thrown at the end of the year that has helped me just gain real classroom resources that I can use the next day if I needed to.
And from the very first New Teacher Institute, they were there doing workshops and just teaching me about my job, about the benefits that I have, about the rights that I have, and anytime I had a question, I actually know my my representative. I've texted him, I've called him, I've emailed him, and I always get a response.
I did a lot of work, not only looked for wages, but we also looked for working conditions that would benefit students.
Knowing that the union was there for me made me feel secure in my job, made me feel like I didn't need to worry about certain things, so I could focus more on just being a good teacher.
The BTU helped me build a community. It helped me feel more secure in knowing that there was people fighting for me with logistical issues like salary and healthcare.
And it made me feel like, I picked a good place to teach, and I picked a good career by teaching here in Boston Public Schools.
It's the best job in the world, and you can't get it any better. I mean, I just still remember a parent calling me after I'd long left the profession and told me her son, who I had worked with after school constantly to bring him up to speed, she called to tell me that he became a lawyer. And there's something magnificent about that, and made me feel terrific that I had some small part in making him fulfill his promise.